And the last time I did this sort of, plug for an upcoming segment, I was talking back to Wendy, who was, of course, talking about quitting smoking. Now I'm throwing back to Ryan Jesperson, who's talking about something that you also should limit at the very least, but it's also sadly one of my favorite things, Ryan.
Yeah, that's not wrong, Bridget. Let me tell you, I'm looking at some of this stuff here and realizing that my diet habits may have to change too. We're joined by Carol Sekulik, registered dietitian. Thanks so much for being here.
No problem.
So we're talking sodium today.
Yes.
Sodium equals salt or no?
Yeah, sodium is found in salt. Salt is two minerals, sodium chloride. But sodium is something that Canadians should be concerned about because we eat 2 to 3 times the upper limit that's set that we should be having.
2 to 3 times the
Yes.
upper limit. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking, it's a health show today. We're talking to people about quitting smoking. We're talking about breast cancer awareness. And you're saying that limiting sodium intake can have a major impact on Canadians' health.
Yeah, well, one of the risks of having too much sodium in your diet is that, and most people know this, that it can lead to high blood pressure. And 1 in 3 people who have high blood pressure, if they were to reduce their sodium intake, they could just manage their blood pressure with their diet alone.
And when we're talking high blood pressure, we're talking about strokes, we're talking about heart attacks, we're talking about other related illnesses.
Yeah.
It's a sort of a precursor to a lot of health challenges, isn't it?
Yes, it does increase your risk of a heart attack, stroke, dementia, kidney disease, and it's also associated with stomach cancer as well.
Okay, well, geez, if our viewers needed any reason to actually pay attention to this segment, I'd say that that's pretty good reason. You've done an absolutely fabulous job bringing in some examples, so why don't I hand it over to you and let's do some learning here.
Okay, well, most people know, they say I don't add salt to my diet, but 77% of the sodium, the excess sodium that we eat is actually found in processed foods.
Okay.
And there are some things that you can do to reduce the sodium just by looking at labels and just by even comparing labels. So I brought some examples of pretzels, for example, and these aren't even marketed as low sodium. Pretzels are salted, so they're going to be higher sodium. But just by looking at the label, these two, this one has half the amount of sodium as this one, and you can just take a look at reading the label at the back, and that'll look at it. You can check that out there. So just comparing similar foods, you find that the same type of product, one different brand can have less sodium than the other one. The other thing to take a look at is some products are marketed as 25% less salt. That doesn't mean that it's low sodium. That just means that it's reduced by 25% from its previous amount. So it's a good idea to know, like, how much should we be gunning for or aiming for? The upper limit is 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day.
Okay.
And a third of a pouch of this, I don't know if you can really see.
Yeah,
here,
well, let's let this sit here so we can get a tight shot of it, because I'd love to get a shot of actually the entire nutritional chart there. We can see there it says 660 milligrams, 26% of a recommended daily intake.
Right.
Does that mean that if you have 4 of these and nothing else during the day that you're fine?
That's a really good question.
This is how the man's mind works. I don't know about the registered dietitian's mind.
Well, you know what? First of all, when we're looking at labels, you always first look at the serving size and what the manufacturer thinks that you'll be having at one time. And this amount of sodium is based on a third of a pouch. Now, usually, if people were to have this type of soup, you might have a bit more than a third of a pouch.
Sure.
And a third of the pouch gives you 660 milligrams of sodium, 26% of your daily value. What you want to look for if you're looking for low sodium or lower sodium is 10% or less on the nutrition. On the percent daily value on the nutrition panel for sodium.
We've got less than a minute left, so why don't I ask you to feature one more thing? If I can make a suggestion, I know that people might be surprised to hear about pasta sauces.
Yeah, you know what? That's why I brought it in. The more you process food, the more sodium it's going to have. So if you look at a regular tomato, naturally has sodium. This has about 6 times the amount of salt. Diced tomatoes or any processed vegetable, generally very high in sodium. A quarter cup has 300 and some milligrams. And then if you go to a bit more processed, like the tomato sauce, a quarter cup has 600 milligrams. And more people are eating, I'm sure they're eating more than a quarter cup at a time.
Sure, so really quickly, the suggestion would be then make your own pasta sauce or just reduce your portions?
Well, 2 things. If you can reduce your portion size, great. If you can rely less on processed food, eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, and definitely add less of soy sauce, teriyaki sauce, sea salt, or any type of salt to your food if you can.
Yeah, you were telling me that kosher salt, sea salt, regular table salt, not a whole lot of difference in
They're
sodium
all about
content.
equivalent in sodium content.
Okay. Isn't it funny, the more that we hear from registered dietitians, the more the message seems to be at its core the same. Eat fresh, eat organic, stay away from processed foods.
Yeah, less packaging, the better.
Carol Sekulik, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, with all of our guests here on BT, we've got information featured on our website, citytv.com. More information on sodium, more information on staying healthy. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
All right, we're going to hand things off to Michelle with the BT Traffic Watch. Michelle?
Thank you, Ryan.